This is your man's the man about town, Petty Murphy, reporting to you live from the back of the classroom with Akata News Network. What is that? Wait a minute. Stay tuned. Breaking news.
Killed the American dream for Indians. He has raised H-1B fees from $1,000 to $100,000 US. To put this into perspective, the median salary of H-1B holders is $97,000. The H-1B fees is paid by the company. Think about it. Why would the company now pay $200,000 for an H-1B person when they can get the same job done for half the price?
Moreno. Anda, diame, Moreno. Moreno, ¿qué pasó, Moreno, aquí? Y ahí sacó el primo el papel. Ahora, pues, ¿dónde voy a ir? ¿Dónde voy a ir? ¿Dónde está? No voy a ir, no vaya. Con papel,
no le da entrada ni la primera vez.
Tiene su documento el Moreno. ¡Moreno, muchacho! ¿Qué pasó? ¿Qué pasó, Moreno? ¿Qué pasó, Moreno? ¡Moreno! Ahí abrió el Moreno la mochila y sacó su documento de una vez. ¡Ay! Coge ahí. Ajá. Así sacó el Moreno. Una cédula de nosotros. ¡Moreno! Anda al diame, Moreno. Anda al diame que abajaste, diste, Moreno. Bueno, Moreno. Cuidado aquí, Moreno. ¿Qué pasó, Moreno? Ajá. El Moreno tiene tu documento ahí. Vamos a chequear, montate, Brian. Que no se da uno atrás. El Moreno tiene tu documento ahí.
Yo, what's cracking? So got a quick question, right? And I know a lot of people might not see where I'm going with this, but just hear me out, right? So I'd say for about maybe the last 20 years, about maybe the last 15 to 20 years, from the left and from Democrats, part of the agenda they've been pushing, we've heard pushed heavily, is that America is a nation of immigrants, right? America is a nation that was built off of immigration. And that's the message that's been drawn into the American psyche and indoctrinated into the American people, again, over about the last 15 to 20 years. But I want to ask you this. With the exception of the early Europeans that came over here in the late 1400s, when was America ever actually a nation of immigrants built off of immigration? Because the last time I checked, this country was built off of a genocide of a group, an enslavement of prisoners of wars of the group, and then they were used to build the infrastructure and create what is now the United States of America. So there was no immigration. It was called chattel slavery. If you actually go and actually for yourself, actually go look through the historical record and see when people actually started immigrating to the Americas, it tells a completely different story. So no, this is not the nation of immigrants. It's not. That did not start happening until immigration got attached to the Civil Rights Bill. But even further back to that, into the early 1900s with Ellis Island, and then you can look what happened in Galveston, Texas, and follow the paper trail. This was never a nation of immigrants. This is something that is being said now because they're trying to push an agenda. It was created by, first of all, there were people here when the Europeans got here, so they didn't find anything. They colonized it. But I'm saying that to say this. If you pay attention to what's going on right now, right, with the whole H1NB visa thing going on, and then the whole indoctrination and rhetoric of this is a nation of immigrants, right? What other country can you go to besides the United States of America where the corporations of that company hand out visas to bring in American or workers from any other country for that matter, at the rate the United States of America does, to where it's tax-free, students, so on and so forth. What country allows other foreign nationals to come in and run for public government or political office in their country? What other country allows that? What other country allows non-document immigrants to come in and buy property, cars, homes, so on and so forth? Where, I mean, let me know, please. And I'm not saying there may not be a few that do, but on the level that we do it and we allow it, what other country actually allows that? Go to Mexico and try to buy a house right now. Go to Mexico illegally, overstay your visa and see what happens. You can literally go on TikTok and there's a page called Agenda 56. Go see what's happening in the Dominican Republic right now, where they go, "Oye, Moreno! Oye, Moreno!" as they go around, rounding up Haitians, checking their papers. And it's funny because when they do these things in their homelands, right, there's no people burning cars or burning American or Haitian flags on the streets, rioting, protesting, and attacking their version of Department of Homeland Security or their version of the ICE agents, right? Their Department of Immigration or whatever they call it. I'm not sure. Someone, if you know, you can correct me on that. But I can't help but start to feel like we've been pumped and told that this is the land or a nation of immigrants so much that it's become a new form of neo-colonialism. Because if an American, case in point, you look at what Microsoft did a few months back. They got rid of like what? I think it was maybe 9,000 positions. They just cut off like 9,000 positions for Americans and then turned right around literally like 2 or 3 days later and then applied for like 4,000 of those H-1B visas for the same positions they just got rid of Americans for. And then if you look at the statistics, since Americans like statistics, the people that they're bringing over from foreign countries on average are paid a little bit less, especially down the line. They work more hours because, again, anything is better here than going back to where they came from. And these are the conversations that we need to start having with one another instead of being so caught up in the indoctrination of what we're told. And it's funny because I had a conversation with someone yesterday. It's an actual professional, it's a counselor. I went to see my counselor, long story short. And one of the other counselors in there was talking to the security guard, right? He was an NYPD officer. And Trump was on, they were showing clips of Trump talking to the UN and that brief clip about Kirk. And she was like, oh my God, they're calling him a martyr and saying his name in the same breath as Martin Luther King or Gandhi. So I stopped her, right? And I'm like, well, by definition, a martyr is someone that dies either speaking for or fighting for what they believed in. So by definition, because he lost his life doing that, that technically does make him a martyr. But I had to remind her that right after that, there was a whole segment of population that was outside in the streets, as we saw on television, no mask on, face open, saying white men fight back. So clearly his message resonated with someone. So he's a martyr to someone. But because she brought up Gandhi, I said, you know, you use Martin Luther King and Gandhi as your barometer for what society should look to or set as the standard of people who should be put in the category of martyrdom, right? And I said to her, I said, well, why don't you go look up what Gandhi had to say about Africans and then tell me how great of a man you think he is. And I told her, have a nice day, and I went about my way. And it's funny because Gandhi's one of those people that they always use. Oh, wow. Gandhi was no different than Charlie Kirk. And I say that to say this. We, going by what we're told about history, instead of doing our own due diligence and going and looking up and reading and researching these people, reading their autobiographies, or their published diaries and works and things about them, or articles, because you know all the stuff's kept on microfiche. You can find all these things, right? They're there. Go to librarycongress.gov. It's there. And reading the articles and what was written and said about these people when they were actually alive versus what they tell you in a classroom, that's part of his story. Because then when you read the truth about Gandhi, you see him and Charlie Kirk were literally saying the same things. Straight up. Take your time right now and just Google what Gandhi said about Africans. And then you tell me if he deserves to be held in esteem of martyrdom. And again, that goes back to a liberal leftist agenda to indoctrinate the mind. And I'm not saying that there's not an agenda on the other side as well, because it's just opposite wings of the same bird. The difference is that one of the wings doesn't lie about who or what it is, and the other one does. Blatantly, while they laugh and play in your face. Because everyone that they set before you and tell you, that is our definition of righteousness. Margaret Sanger. Go look up and research who Margaret Sanger. They give an award out every year in her name. The Democrats do. But see what Margaret Sanger's life aspirations were. I can tell you. But it was to destroy the Negro race. Hitler himself, they claim, wrote her a letter thanking her because she was the godmother of eugenics. And that's what they allegedly used during the you-know-what. So yeah, just a little something to ponder and think about. And I could be completely wrong, but my mind goes different places at different times. But yeah, it is what it is. And you know, it's your man's Petty Murphy reporting to you live from the back of the classroom here at Akata News Network. But yeah, realize, and transparency forces accountability. Y'all keep your eyes to the stars and keep that head on a swivel. And yo, start asking yourself when you see things in the media, start asking yourself just logical questions and then follow the paper trail. It may take you down a rabbit hole, but once you get in that rabbit hole, be prepared and willing to accept what it is that you find and stop believing the lie that you were indoctrinated to see.